One of the coolest things about being a journalist is getting to peek into what people's lives are like. Sometimes that means learning the ins and outs of their jobs, getting to know the hardest parts.
I think I said to myself, I don't know if this is a good idea. But also, with my family, I made a pact that, I'm going to try, right? If I don't come home, it's because I tried.
And the best parts.
I'm just happy to be and honored to be a part of it. It's magical.
When I saw that, I was like, that's what I want to do.
From the Groat Boyle Studio, I'm Jen Chavez, and this is The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB about the place you call home. This week, we're bringing you another episode in our At Work With series. That's where we talk to Pacific Northwesterners who have interesting jobs and ask them your questions about what it's like to do what they do. First, we're bringing you a story by OPB Weekend Edition host Lillian Kerbake about a gig you might not have known existed, a bike bus leader. Imagine a school bus with a planned route and stops along the way, but instead of a big yellow bus, it's 15 elementary school students on bicycles. Corralling these kiddos is Lauren McCune's job, and Lillian Kerbake went with her on an early morning bike ride-along.
This is the first stop on one of the two bike bus routes for Abernathy Elementary in southeast Portland. It's 7:35 a.m. when the first family shows up to the meeting point.
We meet at a starting point, and then there are set routes that we try to hit, just like a yellow school bus, where we pick folks up along the route, though anyone can just join us.
That's Lauren McCune. McCune is one of a dozen bike bus captains around Portland. That's parents and other interested adults who volunteer their mornings to help make over 20 bike buses happen around the city. A bike bus is simple. It's a convoy of kids, sometimes dozens, pedaling to school together, flanked by adults. Today, we have about 15 kids rolling on this bike bus route. Their ages range from kindergarten to 5th grade. McCune gets them hyped.
When I say bike, you say bus! Bike! Bus! Bike! Bus! When I say bus, you say bike! Bus! Bike! Bus! Bike! Woo! Good morning, everyone!
Some are riding on a parent's cargo bike, and some are riding on their own. Before we ride out, McCune reminds riders of the safety rules.
What is the first rule of bike bus? Be safe! That's right. Second rule. Have fun! All right. And what do we yell out when we see a car or a bus coming? Bus! That's right.
And then McCune turns on the music and gets ready to roll. The bike bus route is about 1.6 miles long, and it's pretty much a 10-minute rolling mini party. Captains stop traffic at intersections so the entire group can roll through as one. In the middle, there's a hill. It's the favorite part for many kids. Kindergartner Francis does the bike bus most days.
My favorite part about it is probably the hill because it actually helps you get a lot of energy out before school so you don't get all just zoomy aroundy during school.
Getting out all the zoomy aroundies before school is definitely one goal. But McCune says the most important part of being a captain is reminding the kids about safety.
We're working on biking together and group riding safety and knowledge, not like racing. So that's a good, fun differentiation for kids.
McCune joined the bike bus team after seeing it ride past.
I saw it and I was like, I want that. I want that so bad. And so one day after drop-off, I followed the bike bus back to Abernathy and I talked to the parents, and the rest is history.
Behind the scenes, though, it's a lot of work. McCune estimates she spends a few hours a week organizing and doing admin, all unpaid. The bike bus group is currently working on getting a grant to fund a paid coordinator to help with some of the logistical work.
But we would love to see these at every school.
The group has even offered advice to people starting bike buses as far as Kentucky. McCune says many people who want to start bike buses at their schools are worried about potential liability. Luckily, by being a member of the Oregon PTA, this bike bus is covered under their insurance policy. They've also invested in safety gear, signage, and first aid kits. And yes, they've had a few bumps and bruises, but remarkably few. One listener wanted to know what drivers should do when they see a bike bus.
Never pass a bike bus in your car. It's incredibly unsafe and terrifying, honestly. A lot of our kids know what to do, but they're also little. We start with riders who are still in kindergarten. So pulling over, just waiting, we will pass you in under a minute.
The bike bus at Abernathy rides every Wednesday year-round, rain or shine. And once spring comes, they start riding 5 days a week until the summer break. Wednesdays are special, though, because there's snacks for the kids and parents have a little coffee meetup to chat after the kids go to class. McCune says the community is the biggest pull for her.
Especially parents who parented during the pandemic, we need this. This is all I needed. This is what I wanted. And so to have found a community so quickly that I can step into and be held up by and supported and seen and support and see other people, it's honestly everything.
A few wheels, a little music, and a lot of community spirit. That's what it takes to turn an ordinary school run into something better for the kids and for the captains.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be an honor to be a part of it. It's magical.
And McCune is part of making sure every Wednesday morning in Southeast Portland, something a little magical happens on the way to school. And they haven't been late yet.
If you keep on rolling north from Abernathy Elementary, about 10 minutes later, you can find yourself at Blackthorn Tattoo, which is where our next story takes place. I went to check it out, and I got to know an Oregon tattoo artist who specializes in helping clients heal from trauma. A quick note that this next story touches on self-harm. If that's a tough topic for you, that's okay. You can just skip ahead about 8.5 minutes to get to the end of this story and listen to the rest of the episode. Tattoo artist Ruby Gore is in her Portland studio, Blackthorn Tattoo, cutting up printed out pages and taping them together to form a giant, majestic harpy eagle. It'll soon be a tattoo on her client of the day, Selena Barnish, who is very excited about it.
I could go on and on and on about how cool they are. Their claws are as long as bear claws, so they're about 4 inches long, which is insane, and they kind of look like animals that shouldn't exist.
And as if getting a massive bird of prey tattooed on your body isn't metal enough, this one will be clasping a weapon in its talons, a flail, one of those spiky balls on a chain and stick. This bad boy took Ruby 16 hours to draw, and it's all coming together as she tapes the paper eagle onto Selena's right side, from knee to ribs, just to make sure it's the right size.
It's incredible. It's so beautiful. I had absolute confidence that it was going to look amazing.
This tattoo is custom, like all her work, and it's just Ruby's style, which she describes as scientific illustration inspired by nature and biology.
So a lot of flora and fauna, and just kind of how nature and death kind of come together in this beautifully macabre kind of way. But I also really, really love doing animal portraits, memorial pieces for people.
But Selena isn't just here as a tattoo client. Ruby Gore is also her mentor. A few years ago, Selena was in art school in Philly, where Ruby was also living at the time. When Selena was a sophomore in college, her mom had gone through breast cancer and had gotten a double mastectomy. One day, Selena was on Pinterest and saw a picture of a tattoo.
The most beautiful scar cover-up on a double mastectomy, and it was this fairy scene with deer, and I'd never seen anything so ethereal. I think it was the connection of, oh my goodness, this is an option. When I saw that, I was like, that's what I want to do.
Through some research, she discovered Ruby and her work, and she reached out.
When she asked me about my scar cover-up project, I 100,000% said, we need more people like you in the industry. So come on in and let me show you the way of scar cover-ups.
This type of tattoo, cover-ups for scars, is one of Ruby's specialties. She remembers one client who really showed her how meaningful that work can be.
They were like, I was actually able to go to Thanksgiving dinner and realize that my family was staring because they thought that my tattoos were cool and not because they were staring at my scars.
One of our listeners wanted to know, how did she get into doing scar cover-ups? It began when a client wanted to get a tattoo covering up a stretch mark. She told them she hadn't done that before, but if they were comfortable with it, she was willing to give it a try with supervision.
I just went in going, okay, well, this is just different type of skin, but I'm gonna learn as I go and just be very, very careful. And it healed phenomenally. And I was so stoked.
She posted it on Instagram, and someone reached out asking if she covered scars too. She took the same approach, carefully trying it out under supervision, and again got great results. So she stuck with it, learning as she went. Each scar cover-up process is different. Ruby says sometimes it calls for creative thinking.
Because it's not always necessarily covering over the exact scar all the time, because sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to distract away from the scars. Sometimes you have to make the scar like one with the piece.
She's made scar cover-up work a centerpiece of her practice. The longer she offers the service, the more she hears from clients how rare it is, how many other artists had turned them away.
That's causing like more pain for that person, where they're ready to move on to the next phase of their journey and tell a new story, and they just keep hitting a wall.
Getting a tattoo can be a major part of someone's healing process. Ruby says a lot of what she does is cover-ups of scars from self-harm.
And sometimes it's the tattoo that's preventing them from going back to that. And that's so powerful.
Scar cover-up tattooing isn't Ruby's only healing work. Her broader focus on trauma-aware tattooing comes through in many ways throughout the tattoo process. It can include things like being extra communicative during booking, providing needed accommodations, getting consent before using a razor to shave a client's skin, or spending extra time with someone to get a stencil on just right.
Being really, really specific about this one thing that really means a lot to them, and that's their safe space. And when they're having a hard time, that they can look down at that and that's what's grounding them. That is super important, that we get that aligned right.
Part of what helps her do this is the fact that she only sees one client a day at Blackthorn Tattoo. She can focus on them, not rush through the process. Ruby just opened the shop in May. After years of working in Philly, she moved back to Oregon, where she'd gotten her start as an artist last year to be closer to family. Ruby asked her mentee Selena if she wanted to come with her and her husband to Oregon, attend tattoo school, and continue their mentorship. She definitely did want to, and now Selena lives here with them. Once she's done with tattoo school, she'll have a table waiting for her at Blackthorn. But for now, she's here to get that massive harpy eagle tattoo. Ruby creates a stencil using a special printer, rubs a cream on Selena's side, and applies the stencil to her skin. It looks awesome.
You can see her face from the front. And the face transferred perfectly. And that is.
Before long, Selena gets positioned on the table and Ruby fires up her rotary tattoo machine, which is quieter than coil machines, making it less stressful for clients whose nerves may already be on edge.
Here we go.
Ruby starts with the biggest needle for thick lines first. Selena describes the sensation like repetitive cat scratches.
I don't think I love the big liner.
I think they would.
But I'm thinking about 60-year-old Selena, and she's going to be so glad that she did this when she was 23. So I'm doing this for her.
By then, she might be more like Ruby, a tattoo artist herself with her own style and stories to tell. Her skin covered with art by other artists, focused on the ways tattoos can help us heal.
I would like to be able to help people heal the way that she can help people heal. I think tattoos are very transformative, and they can be such a positive force for people. And I'd like to, whatever my style is, be able to help people in that way.
If you or someone you know is struggling with self-harm, help is available. Call or text 988 to reach the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Coming up after a break, what it's like to work as a coastal lifeguard. Thanks for listening to The Evergreen, our podcast from OPB about the place you call home. If you dig what you hear, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, and we'll brighten your Monday morning a little bit with something new and exciting to listen to each week. You can also follow OPB on Instagram at OPB Photo to see video dispatches from our At Work With stories and much, much more. And remember, this whole At Work With series and all the great OPB reporting and storytelling you hear on this show every week is made possible by the support of many thousands of OPB members. We get suggestions for which jobs to explore and which questions to ask from you, and we get funding to get out there and do it from you too. That's the beauty of public media, my friends. You can support our journalism now by becoming an OPB sustaining member today at opb.org/pod. And now, back to work. Okay, for many of us, our next story isn't just a bike ride away, unless you're very adventurous, because we're taking you to the beach, Cannon Beach. I spoke to a coastal lifeguard about the ins and outs of the job. I was wondering, for instance, is it as glamorous as Baywatch makes it out to be?
We've got a phone off the hook at Tower 8. Okay, Sid, we're on our way.
I spoke with Koa Liu, the head lifeguard at the Cannon Beach Fire Department, who told me,
It's Hollywood, right? At the same time, there are some really good-looking lifeguards out there, right? It's a physically demanding job. So we have to stay in shape, right?
Get in on the action on the next Baywatch.
I'm inside the Cannon Beach Fire Department garage. A couple of huge fire engines with shiny grills loom over me. Smack in the middle, something you might not expect to see in a fire station. 2 huge jet skis fastened on top of a trailer hitch. The crew at the Cannon Beach Fire Department not only have the job of fighting fires, but also performing ocean rescues and lifeguarding on the beach. It's a Friday afternoon, and right now the team is performing a mock jet ski rescue. They stage a dispatch call for a swimmer in distress. The team springs into action.
Unplug skis from shore power, close and buckle.
Brody Schill, the newest member of the Cannon Beach Fire crew, is fresh out of high school. He's in training to be a rescue swimmer and firefighter. He rattles off a long list as the rest of the team checks the jet skis, making sure they're equipped with the right gear. Then they hook up the hitch to the truck and roll out of the station. In a real-life scenario, these guys might be preparing themselves for the worst as they roll the jet skis out of the bay. They deal with all kinds of disasters in the Cannon Beach area and beyond.
We've rescued people, dogs, kids, adults.
That's Koa Liu. He's been lifeguarding since he was 17 years old, and now he's the head of the lifeguard program at the Cannon Beach Fire Department. Lots of our audience members asked, what beaches in Oregon even have lifeguards? Cannon Beach is one of 2 Oregon beaches that have a lifeguard program. The other one is Seaside.
A lot of the fire departments down the coast and actually up the coast are starting to build water rescue teams. As more people and tourists are venturing to the coastline, we're finding the need for more ocean safety, emergent services.
Liu grew up in Hawaii and knew he had what it took to be a lifeguard after his first rescue. His family was swimming in Honolulu when his mom and aunt got caught in some big waves. Liu, who was 16 at the time, ran into the water and pulled them out of the surf.
More than anything, it was just like, oh, no, I'm not losing my mom today, right? And that's kind of where later on in life, I really realized that the first responders that do our jobs, you're built a certain way. You don't think of anything else, you just go and do.
One of our audience members asked how much ocean lifeguards get paid. Liu's answer, he doesn't do it for the money.
Fire departments statewide, and I think nationwide, are severely underfunded. The discussion and argument has been there's no volunteer police departments. There's no volunteer police officers. So why are we having volunteer firefighters? I think it's just been a trend that has been set, that it's been working, but it's not being sustainable anymore.
Outside of rescues, a lot of what they do is education and prevention, letting people know where it's safe and where it's not safe to swim. I rode down the beach with Liu, and he radioed to a lifeguard on patrol after he spotted a couple of girls walking near the ocean at an unsafe spot.
3295, 3261, TAC 8.
Go ahead for 95.
Hey, you want to spin up by Nito's? Looks like two in swimsuits that are getting close to the shoreline.
A few moments later, she pings him back on the radio.
They've been educated, and I pointed them into a better direction of I-744.
Copy, thank you.
Let me just point out, Liu spotted these two girls maybe a half mile away from the truck through a massive crowd of people spanning the entirety of the visible beach. So, as I learned, he's on high alert all the time. Outside of work hours, on vacation, when he's driving home, he doesn't ever turn it off.
A lot of times driving home, I'll drive down the coast and I'm like, okay, if this car crashes into that car, what am I gonna do, right? I carry my radio with me. I have a little med kit in the back. Once you get into it and you start understanding that you really always have to be on high alert and something can happen at any time.
He recognizes, though, that this mindset can take a toll.
Back in the day, the kind of old school fire department, emergency services was always kind of suck it up. We really try to push here, especially with a lot of the younger guys, talk to somebody, right? It does help. Something that I'm still kind of learning too.
Liu has been in some pretty scary situations. In January 2025, he had a rescue that made headlines. It was on a day he wasn't even supposed to be working. They got a call for a missing boogie boarder.
The 4 of them went in, only 3 came out.
The sun was down, so they'd have to make the rescue in the dark. It was also a king tide day with 8 to 12 foot surf.
Initially paddling out, I think I said to myself, I don't know if this is a good idea. But also, like, with my family, I made a pact that, like, I'm gonna try, right? If I don't come home, it's because I tried.
The team of ocean rescuers were peering out into the darkness as Liu paddled out on a rescue board. He wore glow sticks on his helmet and his back, and he was equipped with a flashing light on his shoulder.
I heard a faint yell, right, like a hey or something.
He traveled towards the sound, and eventually he saw the silhouette of a person. He radioed to his command officer.
Well, I have eyes on him, and everybody was shocked because that doesn't ever happen. Like, you're in the dark, in the middle of the winter.
There was still the matter of getting back. Liu would have to paddle him all the way back to the shore in the freezing cold water.
And as I pulled up to him, he said, man, I thought I was gonna die out here. And I was trying to catch my breath. I said, well, we ain't in yet. Just hold on to the board. Let me catch my breath. And just simultaneously as he gets on, 7 to 8 foot wave was coming. So I kind of just turned and caught the wave, and we rode that wave all the way back to shore.
The boogie boarder was safe and rescued from hypothermia and drowning that night. Liu says this is what he was meant to do, and it's been proven to him time and time again.
I'm built that I'm able to stay calm under pressure, still be able to keep a clear mind and do my job. This job is pretty much what I was made for, my calling.
You can find links to stories from our At Work With series in our show notes. And check out our social media videos with the folks you heard in this episode. We'll link to those in the show notes too. Also, please send us suggestions for who you would like to hear from. Is there a job you've always been curious about, or a specific person who you think would be fun for us to hear from? Go to our website, opb.org/theevergreen, and let us know. Thank you so much for listening to The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB. Malia Fass produced this episode, and our technical director is Stephen Cray. The OPB podcast team also includes Julie Sabatier, Mia Estrada, and Sage Van Wang. Lillian Kerbake and I did the interviews you heard. The music in this episode is from Audio Network. And if you have a question for us, please do not hesitate to reach out. Email us at theevergreen@opb.org. I'm Jen Chavez. Catch you later.